All right, good afternoon, traders. Today is April 21st, 2026. My name is Coach Carignan, lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. Let's take a peek at the market today, see how I captured 4K. All right, so instructions for this morning. You're welcome, Steve. You deserve it. All right, so instructions for this morning. Let's review the instructions for this morning. See what we got here. I think this is them. Nope, that's not. It was 7. That's it right there. All right, so SPY. Observe bullish pre-market consolidation. All right, over yesterday's consolidation. All right, kind of a bullish environment there. Plan to trade a 10-minute uptrend over the 7-10-30 area. Okay, so let's take a peek at what happened with that. All right, so we had a 10-minute downtrend right here, and then we looped up over VWAP, started a 10-minute uptrend, never broke the rubber band candle. Of course, I got in early and paid the price for getting in early instead of waiting for the rubber band candle to break or the green erases red. So there's a lesson right there. Don't get in early. Wait for the green erases red. You know, it's kind of a toss-up. It's a coin toss. You know, half the time, if you get in early, it works out great. The other half the time, you pay the price. So the other part of the instructions were, and that's right here, I plan to trade a 10-minute downtrend below 707.75. So that was my trigger to get in below 775. Okay, so we had price right here kind of waffling around. I wanted to get in right underneath that red candle right there, 707.75. That would kind of show me that price is breaking down if they break below excuse me, the low of that base. So we had a 10-minute downtrend coming under VWAP. You can see we break the bearish rubber band candle right here. All right, so then we got a 10-minute downtrend. We traded that down to the 703 area. All right, actually it was the 705 was the call wall or the put wall, and then came down to here to 703. And then we just kind of 704. And then we mapped out the 703 area. I saw this kind of pushing up, and I wanted some puts. I wrote a memo to the traders, like here in the room. Hey, I'm looking for some puts. All right, if we break below this doji right here, I want some 1DTE puts to come all the way down to do to finish the measured move and then come on down to 700. So we'll see what happens. And of course, price came up, just kept melting up over VWAP. And then we got a bearish engulfing with the follow through, slammed it all the way down into the measured move line. I ordered some puts early, and that did pay off. I ordered calls early, and that did not pay off. So there's your coin flip. You flip a coin, you might be early one time, and you pay the price. You do a coin flip another time, and you wind up being a winner. All right, so there's a 10-minute downtrend coming into the close. You got the sticks and the 3 riding underneath the falling 8. You get the falling 17. You got a 10-minute downtrend coming into the close. I'm expecting probably price to come down here to 700 in the overnight session. We may open up at 700. I still think I got a couple of puts left, but take a look at the 2-hour chart. All right, on the 2-hour chart, we got the sticks and the 3 riding underneath the 8. All right, we've got daylight between the 3 and the 8. We've got ourselves a 2-hour downtrend. I'm going to take this out because we don't need this anymore. 2-hour downtrend coming into the close. Daily chart is, did we make a new all-time high? Okay, the all-time high is 712.39, 712.28. So we got a higher high and a lower low. So it's an outside day. We closed inside a bullish trap. All right, we're still in an uptrend. So we're bullish and still in an uptrend. Here's the origin of that rally back here in April. Punch out a higher low and then a new all-time high. Weekly chart, bullish and in an uptrend. Top of quadrant 4, making higher highs, bullish and in an uptrend. Monthly chart, see all the green dots? We haven't made any lower lows. There's the origin of the move, that wick, that tail. Okay, bullish, top of quadrant 4, bullish and in an uptrend. See how we're making higher highs. Weekly, monthly, daily. Okay, 2-hour downtrend, 10-minute downtrend right there. Okay, so I'm expecting like a 2-3% correction, all right, in the SPY. So what would a 2%, 3% correction be? Let's take, let's take 2% of 712. Let's get the calculator out here. See what 2% is. Just for a second. Okay, so 712 times 2% is $14.24. So we're about finished with that 2% correction right there. Okay, we're almost finished. Remember, we were at 712. Okay, 2% correction winds up being 14.24. You know, give or take 0.5%. So you can see we from the 712, probably about 698, right about there. Okay, so right around 698 would probably be that 697, 698. That would be our 2% correction. All right, so that's what we're looking for, 2% correction. Actually, just want to kind of measure this off. I want it to stay in the upper third from the move, from the bottom to the top. Okay, let's just take the quad lines, put that in there. So we could come down to actually 687 and still stay in the upper third of the move from the high to the low, 687. All right, so looking for 697, 696 for tomorrow. So we'll see what happens. We have a 2-hour downtrend. We have a 10-minute downtrend. They'll probably try and trick us, all right? But I'm looking for a 2% correction. May get a 3% correction. Who knows? And find ourselves down here at, 687 or so. We'll see what happens, all right? But there's 10-minute downtrend, 2-hour downtrend. Going to take this out. All right, remember the upper third, I'm bullish. All right, so let's take this out and let's go take a look at QQQ. All right, QQQ did the same thing. All right, this morning had a 10-minute downtrend. And you see got interrupted by a rubber band candle right here. All right, so total dupe. Unless you played the break the rubber band candle or the green erases red, you got duped. If you did and you had the patience and the discipline to wait for the rubber band candle to break or wait for the green erases red up here, all right, you wound up with no trade, all right? So you would have stayed out of that. So you got a 10-minute, something's moving. I don't know what's moving. Maybe some war news. I don't know. We'll find out. Okay, so anyways, you got a 10-minute downtrend right here. And you could have traded that all the way down into the 643 area down here. All right. So there's QQQ coming into the close. Well, there was a 10-minute downtrend until the funky stuff started happening. And that's probably some tech earnings. Who knows? Somebody might know. All right. Probably got the 2-hour downtrend coming into the close on the 10-minute chart. 2-hour chart, got a 2-hour downtrend coming into the close on the QQQ. All right, 2-hour downtrend, 10-minute downtrend. Daily, still in an uptrend. Let's see if we got a new all-time high for QQQ. High was 650 on the nose. High today was 650.59. So QQQ makes new all-time high today on QQQ daily chart. All right, so you can see it's an outside day. It's a higher high. It's a lower low. Closing over the bullish trap, over the rising 17. It's a new all-time high, so it's hard not to be bullish and in an uptrend when you're making a new all-time high. Just saying. That's QQQ. Let's take a look at IWM. IWM, outside day as well. Again, new all-time high for IWM. Higher high, lower low. Closing over the bullish trap, over the rising 17. Again, hard not to be bullish and in an uptrend when you're making new all-time highs. There's IWM. Let's take a look at Diamond Dow. Diamond Dow, outside day, higher high, lower low, closing. Well, that would just, did you see that one just move on me? Okay, was over the bullish. Make up your mind. It was over the bullish trap. Then it came into the bullish trap. Now I'm just going to call it, it's over the bullish trap, over the rising 17. We're at the top of quadrant 4. Here's the question. Did they make a higher high? That high, 498.21. That high, 498.38. Okay, so the dysfunctional downtrend is done. All right, so no more dysfunctional downtrend. Dysfunctional downtrend is over. They are now bullish and in an uptrend for Diamond Dow. Let's take a look at FNGU. See what Stinker's got out. Stinker's been up to. All right, so here's FNGU putting in an inside day. It's a lower high. It's a higher low. It's closing inside a bullish trap over the rising 17. We're over the all-time high anchored VWAP. We're in the middle of quadrant 3. Not quite in the upper third, so we're neutral and in an uptrend on Stinker here, FNGU. Let's take a look at silver and gold. Silver's got a lower high and a lower low, closing underneath a bullish trap, closing underneath flat 17 EMA, closing in the middle of quadrant 3. We did not make any lower lows. We're still in an uptrend. Dysfunctional uptrend. We're not moving up anymore. We're kind of melting lower. All right, so silver, neutral, dysfunctional uptrend. All right, so there's on the daily chart. Under the all-time high anchored VWAP here, how low are they going to go? We'll find out. All right, they're on the bullish side of the neutral line, okay, and they're in a dysfunctional uptrend in that they're just melting down. So neutral, dysfunctional uptrend. Let's take a look at gold. All right, gold, lower high, lower low, closing underneath. It's a bearish cross, closing underneath the flat 17, closing underneath. All-time high, anchored VWAP, okay, bottom of quadrant 4, that's still bullish. They haven't made a lower low, so they also got the dysfunctional uptrend. So gold bullish, dysfunctional uptrend in the bottom of quadrant 4. Here's the origin of that rally. Same for silver. They both rallied from the same location back in 2022. And there they produced new all-time highs, gold and silver. Let's take a look at USO. And USO puts in a higher low and a higher high, closing over a bearish trap, closing over the flat 17. Bottom of quadrant 4, that's going to be bullish. They got a low. Did they take out and make a higher high? So the high there is 128.28. The high there is 128.89. So they're now in an uptrend. So USO bullish and in an uptrend. Let's take a look at UNG. UNG got lower high, lower low, closing over a bearish trap, closing under the falling 17, closing under this 12-month high anchored VWAP. That's going to be bearish because it's in the bottom of quadrant 1. That's the all-time low for UNG. If you want to see where the all-time high is, please sit down because you're going to fall out of your seat. All right, that's the all-time high. Okay, so this is the all-time low back here on the daily chart. That's the all-time low. We were dangerously close, taking out the all-time low and making a new all-time low. All right, so there's UNG on the daily chart. We are, again, bottom of quadrant 1, so we're bearish, still in a downtrend, have not made any higher highs. Let's take a look at our technicals. T2101, this would be the breadth and the participation. So the market kind of faded today. It kind of didn't like slam down. It just kind of melted off, like kind of like a medium slow drip down. And you can see we lost some participation, which is fine by me. I'd rather see it when people we lose participation on a down day. That would be good. That's a bullish sign for me. When it's going down, I don't want to see an increase in participation. That would mean everybody's lined up to slam it down. All right, but losing participation on a down day is not a bad thing to me. That's a bullish sign. All right, so well, going down is not a bullish sign, but going down and losing participation at the same time, or absolute breadth, to me, that's a bullish sign. Because you don't want everybody, running for the exits when price is going down. That would be a really bearish sign if everybody, if volume and everything increased as price was going down, because that would put a tremendous amount of pressure on the securities or the indices. So there's the 15-minute T2101, T2122. Well, we spent a little time in the overbought zone, spent the rest of the day in the buy zone. Can't stay here forever, all right? So we spent a good 5 days up here. That was nice. Remember, we're still, when it comes to the 50-yard line, we're still up here. Okay, so we're still bullish. We're in the buy zone. Not a bad place to be. That's still bullish up there. Let's take a look at T2123. All right, today we gapped up. Okay, gap up. Bears never filled the gap. We made a higher high. Here's the question. Did they make a lower low before we closed? Well, we got a low here, and you can see they made a lower low. See underneath the 17? So we're in a downtrend. We still haven't filled gap. We're over the rising 200 SMA. That's where you want to be if you're a bull, okay? This is the all-time high. I don't know. I think we might have set a new all-time high right there today. So I got to check this out. I got to check this out. So let's see what we got here. That candle right there. That high is 643.512. That high right there is 643.515. That high right here is 643.557. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a new all-time high for T2123. Okay, so another new all-time high. And guess what? They break the dysfunctional downtrend and now convert the uptrend because they made a higher high. Okay, so there's 15-minute. Okay, if we put the quad lines on there, do we really need to? Because if you're making new all-time highs, you're obviously bullish and in an uptrend, right? So there's the quad lines on there, top of quadrant 4, bullish and in an uptrend right there. Got to take these out because we don't need them for the next chart. All right, so let's take a look at the 3-bar chart. Again, bullish and in an uptrend now because they made a higher high. You can see we're up over the rising 200 SMA. That's where you want to be if you're a bull, okay? That's where things happen. That's where things get done, all right? There's where doers get things done. So there's T2123, 3-bar chart, bullish and in an uptrend. We'll back up here. There is the April rally, all right, that started it in 2025. We go up, pull back, make a higher low, rip, make a new all-time high, all right? And then just stayed in the upper third, bounce, and make another new all-time high. So nice work for T2123. Not sure how much more we got of that coming up, but that would be nice, all right? So we'll see FNGU, here's Stinker on the 15. So Stinker got in a downtrend, all right, when we left off this morning. So here's the question. There's a high. They did not make a higher high. Okay, there's a low. So they're still in a downtrend, basically, because they haven't made a higher high. All right, so there's Stinker moving to the right. Kind of bull flagging. I'll take it. We're up over the rising 200 SMA. That's bullish. We're up over the all-time high anchored VWAP. Hey, that's where you want to be if you're a bull, is over the all-time high anchored VWAP. So we'll put the quad lines in here after we scrunch it up. All right, let's see where we are. And you can see we're in the middle of quadrant 4. That's bullish. Currently, remember this is the 15-minute chart. They got a low, they made a lower low, so they're in a downtrend. So there's FNGU, all right, 15-minute chart, bullish and in a downtrend. Okay, remember on the daily chart, they were neutral, all right, but in an uptrend. All right, neutral in an uptrend on the daily chart. Of course, it didn't encompass all of, it encompassed a whole lot more on the daily chart. Remember, this is all I can fit into the 15-minute chart from that low down to, from that high down to this low. So bullish and in a downtrend up here in quadrant 4. All right, so there's FNGU on the 15-minute. On the US dollar, we are still in a daily downtrend. You can see we haven't made a higher high. There's a low. We made lower low, so we're in a daily downtrend. Still in this big bear flag. Notice the fabric of the flag is almost a year long. You can see we got here in May. We're coming, I think we're a couple weeks from May right now. So that's a year-long bear flag. Here's the drop from January 2025. 6-month drop, 1-year flag. Flag is almost drooping on the ground now because it's longer than the flag pole. But anyways, price still in a downtrend on the US dollar index. All right, that's it. We can take a look at what happened today. All right, I traded calls and puts. I posted. I bought calls up here. Okay, bought the 707 calls. Not those right here. Bought the 714 calls, 0 DTE. They did not work out. Remember, those are the ones that I said I got in early. So I converted those into a debit spread, all right, or ratio spread, really. All right, so I converted those into a ratio spread. So as price dropped, I was able to capture gains from the short strike on my call. So I converted that. All right, then we had price. You see the alert right here, trade below 707. So I got puts. All right, and I traded those puts down on, let's go to the SPY. on the 10-minute downtrend, which you can see starts out right here. We looks like we got a spike and we break the rubber band candle here, but they got a little bit attached right there. I got in early and that paid off there. Did not pay off on the calls. It did pay off here. So I bought some puts, lots of puts. All right, so I got some 700 puts, made 495 on those. Got some 690 puts, made a K on those. Turned this into a put spread and lost 167. Made 37 on these puts right here, and the rest became call spreads. And was able to capture some money, some gains on the call spreads right there. So that's it for me for today. Any questions in the room? Anybody got a chart you want me to look at? Thanks, Mac. Did you do all right today, Mac? Did you follow the guidance? Right here. Did you understand the guidance? He probably left. All right, traders, that's it for me. Thank you for hanging out with me today. We'll do it again tomorrow. All right? We'll see what happens. Thanks, CP. Bull thoughts, Alpha, on what? For tomorrow? I think we got some residual selling left to do. You know, maybe down to 699, 700. I mean, you're right around the corner, so I think we got some residual selling. And I think we probably get a V bottom tomorrow. Webull? Yeah, Webull. The stock bull. Oh, okay. Yeah, we can take a look at that. Let's go to the daily chart and let's check out bull. Webull. I like Webull. Definitely bullish right here on this daily chart right here. Wow. So if we stuck an all-time high anchored VWAP on this, let's just see where it comes out. Okay, so that comes out at 1160. Okay. Let's do one more on this high right here. That comes out about $10. And if you look, you got a valley here at 10, see it? And you got a peak here at 10. And we got not an all-time high anchored VWAP, but it's about a 9-month high anchored VWAP right there. I'm going to take this one off. I'm not saying we can't get it done, but we got like a 9-month high. $10 is the big fat whole round number. I think you got a good chance of going for $10. I do. I think you need to cool off a little bit, all right? But I do think you get up there. You're nice and bullish so far. Let's see, the 2 hour. 2 hours getting pinched. All right, so maybe if we rest, what would be normal would be to rest on support. All right, so where are we going to find support? Let's go look for it. All right. Well, there's obviously some support right there. Okay, but we're looking for something maybe a little higher. Okay, I can see support right there. And then we got some weak support right there. Don't know if I can count on that support. It's only got, you see the time on each side of the peak. That's how you measure the strength of that support area. So I don't know if I could count on that. Maybe it'll hold. Maybe if they get another rip. They need to get up to this right here, this 7. Yeah, see, they got bumped this morning. See, that's 768, and I see a wick running right into that. See that tail, that valley? That tail actually becomes part of this big valley. Remember the show Big Valley? Well, that tail becomes part of this big valley, and you can see if they could get back up there on top of that, we have hopes of getting to $10. All right. I don't know if I trust this support. All right. We're going to need the bulls to show up tomorrow if I trust that support. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with pulling back and touching the top of that consolidation right there. And then J-hook off of it and then get up here and get on top of this 768 area. Right now, I think you're kind of extended. This is a new stock, and it's like from the highs, it's really super cheap, and you get 501 million shares, so there's plenty of shares outstanding. Looks a little frothy right now. Not saying it can't get any higher, but you got a day of rest. Well, not really, because they went up there and tagged that. I think another 2 days of rest. Look for 4 days to hold here, right on top of that. I think you get back up here, and if you get on top of 675 area right there, you get on top of that, and you're able to hold that for 2 or 3 days, you've got a really good shot at getting to 10. All right, this is bullish, and I like it. And who knows, maybe they come back and rest right on 623. I prefer it if they rest on here, but they didn't put in enough consolidation. So if they rest right on 623, that would be cool. And then stage another liftoff or a launch off this 650, 623 area. Maybe they can get up to 775. That's $1.25 from there, or $1.50. All right, they could get up to that 775 and hold that area. So yeah, that's bullish. All right, and they've tried to bust out and make highs. You can see they were up here. They tried to get over the 10 mark here, and it didn't work. You can see they tried a little bit there. They tried a little bit here. They tried a little bit there. I just want to see this. That's good. Let me see this. Yeah, see, this is what I like to see. See, that's institutional. That right there is like institutional buying right there. So you may have a couple days of rest. All right. And I would look to, for me, what I do on these is I try to pick off the lows. All right. By the bottom third of those 4-hour candles or those 3-bar candles. Okay. The bottom third of those 3-bar candles. Kind of pick off the lows and get yourself set up so when it does do the bounce, all right, you're in the green almost immediately. All right. That's what I like to do. That works for me. Not all the time, but most of the time, yes. Okay, so that needs to cool off. Parts. Let's take a look at parts. And you know what I like. Okay, I like that 3-4 day hold. Because after that, you can have a liftoff. So let's look at parts. PRTS. And let's look at that on the daily. Okay. See all the green dots? Yes, that's nice and bullish. Nice long consolidation like here. A little up and down, up and down, up and down. Let's take a look at this guy. Yeah, we got some candles here over the 30. Okay, that's what I like to see is the green candles. See all the green candles here that started this? I like it when the same amount of green candles. So you can see it's the balance of power is not making higher highs, but price is. You see what I'm saying? So this may be coming to an end soon. It's almost looking like exhaustion right there. It's breaking out. Obviously, you see sellers here. If you compress the price action here into like 3-day candles, you'll see you'll get a big wick right here. Okay, if I go to 3-day candles, okay, you can see you get a bearish engulfing big wick right there. That's 3-day candles. Back to the daily. Okay, so obviously sellers, 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 sellers. So you're in that sellers area right now, okay? And then on top of being in the sellers area, you got this biggest green candle at the end of the move. See the origin of this move? And that's the biggest green candle at the end of the move. So if they can break those wicks up there, it's, it could be game on to go higher. Other than that, I think be prepared to take profits real soon due to this wick over here. This is only the first time we're chasing down this wick area right here. Now, if they can get on top of the wicks and get on top of these peaks, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 peaks. See how many peaks we got. Okay, I see one here. I'm just going to put a line. Okay, so move it up just a little bit. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 peaks right here. Okay, and this will make 5 if it gets up there. All right, so if they rally tomorrow, get ready to start taking profits. Me, I'd take profits right into strength, coming into the same area. Sellers were selling, or people were taking profit before. All right, and then I would sit back with my hands and my fingers, interlocked behind my head, both elbows out to the side, and I just lean back in the office chair and I'd watch to see if they can take it up, see if buyers come in and take it up over this 645 number right there. Okay, so if they can do that, then I'd get inspired to get back in, all right? But other than that, I'd be looking to take profit into this rally coming right up here. All right, it is bullish, and you got a breakout. I just don't want to see a failed breakout. Notice this candle didn't get too much higher than the breakout candle. Okay, so we'll see. They're stuck. It's now consolidating over this. That's a good sign right there. But you start getting up, 105, 120, with 125 number right here. For me, that'd be like, see that wick? I take profits into those wicks like that, especially if they haven't been there in 6 months. Yeah, I'm taking profit, and then I sit back with my hands laced behind my head, kind of lean back in the office chair, just kind of let them see if someone steps in and rallies it up over 145. Okay, if they can do that and hold that higher ground, get back in. Right? All right, guys. I'll see you. All right, tomorrow morning, let's try and do it again. Thank you, everybody.